And yeah, I think that's it. For me, it was the first time to work so closely together with someone else, because illustration more normally I'm an illustrator. This is my first time as a film director. So I'm used to really working for myself, and now this time it was cool to see how easy you can change something because you're braver, I think, when you're together, when you have someone to.
Yeah. Good morning, Eva. It's so lovely to meet you here on Zoom.
Good morning.
And you are in Basel in Switzerland.
In Bern, in Switzerland.
Oh, you're in Bern. Okay.
Yeah.
And were you born there?
No, I was born in Zurich, also
Yeah.
in Switzerland, but I moved to Bern 12 years ago.
Yeah. Okay, so you grew up there and in the lovely Switzerland.
Yes.
Yeah.
I spent in my early childhood, I spent 1 year in Scotland, but unfortunately you can't hear it anymore from my accent. It's pretty smooth.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. So you went to Scotland and just for a year?
Yeah, just for a year when I was very small. So it's not really relevant, but I'm telling it because it's a bit relevant for the movie that we're going to talk about. So.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, because this is what I saw on Instagram and also on LinkedIn. I saw that you released this movie and it's called Pond.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's an animation film, and it's so interesting because I just recently spoken to a storyteller who worked at Disney and who now also has a series on Netflix, and it was so interesting to hear from him from not the illustration side, the animation side, but from the story side. But tell me about your film. You did the animation of the film, or did you do the story as well?
I did the story. It's a collaboration with a good friend, with Lena von Deuren. And we did directing together, and also the story. We wrote the story together, and it was really, really cool to do this with someone together, because we changed it a lot during the process. And I think that's it. For me, it was the first time to work so closely together with someone else, because illustration more normally I'm an illustrator. This is my first time as a film director. So I'm used to really working for myself, and now this time it was cool to see how easy you can change something because you're braver, I think, when you're together, when you have someone to.
Yeah. And also like you say, the collaboration and the creative energy that you have between each other, that brings something they new, two people being creative together.
Yeah, I mean, it can also be a challenge. Sometimes there are discussions, but of course, but most of the time it's really good, because I think you're more decisive maybe if you're together than alone. You can stay in going circles round and round. How should I do it, like this or like that? So this was really nice. Yeah.
But as an illustrator, so your job is to illustrate books or illustrations for books.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing to do, children's books. But there's also stuff for magazines or other clients. But my favorite thing is children's book. So that's what we also did to the movies. Is a children's film, and we also did a publication, a children's book / children's comic that goes along with the movie, so that has the same story.
But now I was thinking while you were talking, so basically when you do the illustration for the book, there must be also these pictures in your mind to if you read the story, to how you're going to illustrate it. Did this skill that you have help you to do the film? So to do it as a movie, you know, like it has its sequences.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of similarities of how a story has to be told, because but there's also differences, of course. I mean, what was new for me was the element of time that you don't have so much in a book. You can take with the page, you can spend as much time as you want as a reader, and in the film, that's really, yeah, it's structured when what happens, and so this was really something new for me. The film is about animals that live in the sea, and they are not talking; they just make noises. And this is also something that is really hard in a book. I mean, there are silent children's books without text, but it's a very challenging format, I think. So that's what we also did in our comic. We don't have the element of movement and time, but in the book they can think and sometimes also talk with each other. So we added that because this is, I think, with the movement, you can express so much that you can't if you only have unmoving pictures. So
Yeah.
these are some of the differences, I guess. Yeah.
But did you have any experience before? As an illustrator, you say you're illustrating books, but did you have experience of animation and how a film process like this works?
Yeah, I worked for many films, mostly when I was younger, but I never directed any. I mostly did like background painting. So I mean, obviously, as an illustrator, this is what I'm what's most how do you say, convenient to do. I did a lot of backgrounds for movies, and also for movies that are more traditional, I did cleanup drawings, stuff like this. So it wasn't completely new for me.
Okay.
And I really like to go to animation festivals. So I've seen a lot of movies. And I think the storytelling aspect is similar. You tell stories with pictures, sequential story.
But it's so interesting that you did everything now. So you did the storytelling, you developed the characters, and then you did the animation as well. And what was the inspiration for that?
I ended up doing less animation than I thought that would be.
Oh, really? And why so?
Yeah, I don't know. I just realized the storytelling and the background. I mean, I drew character design, and this stuff is more fun to me because I don't know. I also realized Lena, my co-director, she's an animator full time with a lot of passion, and she has much more feeling for the timing and the pacing and stuff like that. And so I did a little bit of animation, but less than I expected in the beginning. To be honest.
Okay. But the story itself, what was the inspiration behind the story?
So I tell the story very shortly. Maybe it's a shoal or a swarm of fish, herring in the open sea, and it's also kind of a musical film. It starts with an opening sequence where they all, I mean, we all know these pictures, I think, from nature documentaries where a lot of fish swim in a big swarm. And herring, they actually communicate with farts. It sounds
really?
Yeah. It was also in Swiss newspaper just recently. And this is also something that kids find funny, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Also grown-ups maybe. And the farting noises, they translate to trumpets, and there is this really epic beginning with this marching sound. And then they get attacked by a seagull, and one of the fish, they flee, and one of the fish ends up in a tide pool. he doesn't know that, of course, and I guess the kid viewers don't know that either. But some time passes, and then the tide goes down, and he's not able to get out of this little pond anymore into the open sea. So he's caught there. I guess the grown-up viewers, they can figure out, oh, the tide will come back and he can get out, but the fish himself doesn't know. So he has to make friends with the characters who are in the pond, and these are like starfish or squid, animals like that. So it's a bit a story about for children how to get along in a new environment, but also maybe they learn something about these animals, because we have this, for example, the starfish that can grow back a limb. The herring that communicate with farts and little facts like this. So it would also be nice if the kids learn something about animals. And kind of the inspiration, that's why I mentioned my year in Scotland when I was a little kid, because we were living in St. Andrews at the coast, and I loved as a kid to go around in these little ponds and watch the animals there. And same for Lena, she grew up in Berlin and also lives in Switzerland now for some time, but she spends 1 month every year at in France at the Atlantic coast. So she also has a lot of childhood memories from that. So
from the sea.
Yeah, that's what inspired us. Yeah.
How amazing! I mean, just this year of you being there has left that mark for you to be able to do this story.
Yeah, maybe also if I went a lot on holidays. But that's something that we noticed it's really funny in Switzerland. A lot of people are not so familiar with for example, these tidal pools, because when you only know the Mediterranean Sea, the tide is not as extreme as in the Atlantic Ocean.
Well, I'm from South Africa, and it's also, I mean, I know what you're talking about when you say the tide pool, because this is something very common that we see. But now, amazing that you did this story, and I'm just since I wanted to speak to you, I was just thinking the whole time that it's such a great way of communicating. It's a film and an animation film, and like you say, it's for children. I think always when I watch an animation, sometimes you get lost and you forget that it's animation. But how do you get this film now out there so that people can see it, and that is that something also that's part of what you had to think about? Because it's one thing to make the film, but now you have to get it out there.
Yeah, luckily we are not alone. We have a great producer, and they do a lot of this work. And now we are able to premiere at the Berlinale. So this really helps a lot, I guess, because it's gonna start in, I don't know what, not even a month now. It's gonna be there, and since they released the program, a lot of other festivals are getting in touch about showing the movie. So I think if you have the opportunity to start in such a great festival as this, then maybe the rest is easy. And also Swiss television gave some funds for the film, so it's going to be, at one point, it's going to be shown there as well.
Amazing. Yeah. But how is it possible to obtain the film? How can you buy it? Will it be released on, because we don't watch DVDs anymore, so it will be online, or how would people be able to see the movie?
Yeah, not at the moment. It's only festivals at first, because when you want to show it at festivals, you can't publish it yet, because
I see.
I think it's more interesting for the festivals to show films that are not published. But in, I guess, in 2 years or something, it's going to be online. Yeah.
Oh,
And
okay.
also, yeah, I know distribution for a short film is probably more. Yeah, I don't know where people are really going to watch it, but
Yeah.
then it's going to be
Yeah.
online. And we hope that also the book is maybe encouraging people to go on our website and then see the movie, and the other way around. So yeah, this is something that also Lena hasn't tried before, to have a book and a movie with the same characters and a similar story. And yeah, let's see how this works out. Yeah.
Yeah. But now I want to ask you now, is how did this illustration, the love for illustration, begin? How did you first realize that this is something that you wanted to do? Were you drawing as a child a lot?
Yeah, it's pretty cliche, I think.
Really?
I started to draw when I was really young. And also, I guess I have to thank my parents, because there were a lot of picture books and comic books around all the time. So I had a lot of inspiration, and I just always liked to do it. And it's not the most original origin story.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I just
But
always liked to do it. Yeah.
yeah, but you had to, did you go and study then art, or was it something that you then realized you wanted to do as a job? Because, you know, that's also one aspect of, okay, you can draw, but what do you do with it now? You've made it into your work.
Yeah, that's true. I think I knew pretty early that this would be the
Really?
goal.
Mm.
Yeah, and I went to study scientific illustration, actually. So you don't really see it much anymore from my style. It's pretty abstract and comic-y, I guess. But I actually studied really traditional. We drew like one bug for 2 weeks, or
Oh, really?
really traditional. Also because I thought maybe this is more realistic to make a living, but this didn't turn out to be true. It's also difficult to make a living with scientific illustration, but
Yeah.
for me it was great to learn the craft, and then from this to develop my own style and my own thing. And I think the scientific part is maybe still in there, with the interest for the topics, such as, for example, these sea creatures and tide pools and stuff like this, but not in the formal way. It's not so much there anymore.
Yeah. So you do everything is hand drawn.
Everything's drawn on the computer, but
Okay.
it's hand drawn on the computer, on the
Okay. Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
iPad. Also, for the animation, we had different techniques. For example, the fish, he doesn't have a lot of movement. He has the fin that moves a bit, but otherwise you can just kind of drag him across the screen. But then there are other animals like the starfish that moves much more organically, because they're more slimy, maybe. And this one was drawn frame by frame, like traditional animation, just not on paper but on the computer, but still a lot of
I see. Mm.
still a lot of manual work. Yeah.
Mm. But is it the sort of the thing now is that you do most of the work on the computer, or the most of the work this way?
For the film, yes. For illustration, for example, the book was like half maybe.
Okay.
I drew it by hand and scanned the pages and then colored it in Photoshop. Yeah.
Oh,
So
I see. Mm.
this is maybe when I work for illustration, it's half, but for the movie, it was much more convenient to do everything on the computer.
Okay. And what do you prefer? I mean, do you prefer the old school, just drawing, sketching, or do you like to work with a computer?
I think I like the combination of both, and I also don't think this question is so important for me. It's pretty similar to work digitally and manually.
Oh, really?
For me, it's more. I know it's a really big question for a lot of people, but for me, it's more like the iPad is another tool. Like a pencil is one tool, and a brush is another one. And of course, I mean there is stuff like you can always go to Control Z and undo something. So yeah, this is maybe a difference, but yeah, I like to have both.
Okay. The combination of both.
Yeah.
But now, Eva, tell me, what are the wishes now for the future? Are there more films in the pipeline for you? Would you like to do another one?
I don't know. For me, it was also something new. A film takes much more time than a book.
Okay.
And so for me now, I think since we started, it was like 2.5 years or something like that.
Okay.
In the middle of the pandemic when we started. So for me, that's a very long time. And now I need a break.
Yeah.
I also like to do shorter projects and be finished and start another thing. But yeah, why not? I don't know. Yeah. I mean, Lena is already working at the next film.
Oh, really?
not working, but thinking about.
Thinking. Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's also something else coming up in my life.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a mom very soon, so my mind is more there. Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. But I'm sure with having a baby, also you're going to have more inspiration to do more children's stories.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah.
Yeah. I can just imagine you a new film with the new baby as a main character.
Yeah, very well possible. I don't know.
Oh, that's amazing. But it's wonderful that's a wonderful thing to look for. I think it's a wonderful motherhood, something wonderful to look forward to. So I'm very happy for you that this is part of your future now.
Yeah, thank you. The only bad thing is that I can't attend the Berlinale because the date is precisely then when I should be in Berlin.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's the only thing that's a bit sad, but for this is also good that we are two co-directors. So
yeah. Well, if when she's a teenager, this is the one that you can throw at her when she does something that.
At least the Berlinale for you.
Just we sometimes need these little things to throw at them.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Oh, well, but Eva, it was so lovely to talk to you, and all the best with this film. It sounds so amazing, and I would so love to see it. I hope that one day I get the chance when it gets released and so. But it sounds such a fascinating story, and really congratulations with that.
Thank you so much.
Just doing this is amazing.
Thank you so much also for the opportunity to talk about it.
It's a great pleasure. Well, wishing you all the best for the baby, and I'm sure you'll be a lovely mum, and she will be very lucky to have lots of stories by you.